Don't take me to. Where's that?
She's in South Carolina, right? Are you at the airport, Stephanie?
Just give us a thumbs up because we muted you.
Can everybody hear me? Can somebody tell me if you can hear me or not?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Oh, I've got Anthony's book I'm going to take with me. So welcome, everybody. A couple things I want to talk to you about before I forget. Mark wants me, could you let Tracy in, please? Mark wants me to remind you all that Thursday is the office party at Nick Pelletier's house.
And Ashley Paradise is being a pasta salad, so it's gonna be great. And a potato salad.
I'm Irish. Potato salad is a delicacy.
It sounds delicious. You had me at
Basically-
potato.
Basically anything potato, I can make it.
I agree.
That's
It was
awesome.
part of my training.
Well,
It's in our blood.
that's great.
It is in my blood.
We'll give you extra credit for this week.
All right. I'm gonna use it one day.
Honestly, guys, it's a great way to get to know some of the seasoned agents and network with them. And you want to do that. And the reason why you want to do that is because they can help you grow your careers. So if you can show up to that meeting, to that party, do everything you can to get there. Raise your hand if you're planning to go. Eric, I see you. Thank you. Who is that? Geez, I'm getting a little disoriented now. Okay, so that was one thing Mark wanted me to tell you. The other thing that Mark wanted me to tell you was Mega Camp is coming. If you want to partake in that, please let me know. And can somebody let Michelle Stickler in? And if you want to go, it's pretty cheap. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars usually to go to Mega Camp, and I think it's only 100 and some odd for the online ticket. And do you know how much it is, Anthony, for the in-person? Like 300
It's
maybe.
like 3 something, yeah, and it's gonna go up on the 29th.
But anybody who wants to start getting to know what those conferences look like, that one's going to be at Mohegan Sun, unless you were invited to Texas. And I don't think any of us were invited to Texas. So that's something you might want to consider doing as well. Let me know and I'll give you details if you're interested. Mark is also going to teach contracts, not next Tuesday at Coaching Corner, but the following Tuesday. So I don't know what the date of that is, but he's going to have you guys fill out mock offers and go over them with you, and I'll be here to help out with that as well. So you'll get some practical experience. Can you let Jamie Sleeper in? So try to be here, not next Tuesday, although I want you here every Tuesday, and I'm happy when you show up. Try to make sure in 2 weeks on Tuesday.
August 10th.
Want to make that. And come in person if you can, because then we can really help you. I know some of you still aren't doing in-person stuff, and that's okay. We get it. We'll do as best we can with you on Zoom. But if you can make it, we'd love to have you in person. So there's a couple things that I want to talk to you about today before we get really going. One is accountability. So I know that we're calling you every week now, and we may push that off to every couple of weeks because it seems like weekly might just be too much for you, for some of you. If you want us to call you weekly, you can send us an email and let us know. Otherwise, it's going to be probably every 2 weeks. And Also, when I ask you guys what you have happening, what you have going, it's not to check for accountability, although that is my job. As your coach, I'm actually supposed to be monitoring what you're doing and see if you're meeting your goals and help you to do that if you're not. So some of you have said you feel pressure when we ask you what you have under agreement or what you have that you're actively working on. And I want you to feel a little bit of pressure, although I'm not like your typical coach, because your typical coach is going to really hold you accountable. Anthony, do you have any experience with that type of coaching?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a second? What does coaching usually look like?
Have you hit your goal? Whether you say yes or no. If you say no, why not? What do you need to change? And do we now have to change your goal or change what you're doing? Because either you're gonna make your goal, I'm gonna sell 10 houses this year. Well, looks like you're gonna sell 5. Is that your new goal and can you live off that? Or do you have to do something different?
Yeah.
Are you doing the right things? Is it not happening? Or are you doing the wrong things? So you're not hitting your goal. So it's kind of like a streamline of questions of let's walk down this path. Why are you not hitting your goals?
Yeah, and you guys aren't used to that with me because I've told you right from the very beginning that I'm not that kind of coach. I feel like you have to be self-directed. And if you want me to hold you accountable, then you have to ask me to hold you accountable, because otherwise I'm going to assume that you're doing exactly the right thing for where your goals want you to be. And how I feel about that is irrelevant. But some of you feel like when we're making those phone calls to you every week, we're pressuring you. We really aren't. What we're trying to do is make sure we know about all the transactions that you have going so that we can check your files, make sure that you're on target to get paid when you close. And we just want to make sure that we're not surprised. We've had a couple of agents that for some reason or another didn't let us know they even had a transaction in progress. And then all of a sudden they're closing and they don't have any of the right paperwork in their opportunity. And they're not getting paid because they didn't do the paperwork. And now they're closed. And how are they going to go get the paperwork? Because it's pretty embarrassing to have to go to your client after the closing and say, could you sign this mandatory agency disclosure or whatever the case may be? So that's why we're asking you what you have going on, just to make sure that we've been helping you with it and that you're not going to get yourself in a mess later on. I don't want you to think that and by the way, if you want the other kind of coaching, all you have to do is ask us and we'll give you exactly that too. But as a rule, I'm not doing that with you guys. Just because I trust that you know where you want to be. And we've taught you or are teaching you what you need to do to get there. And then you have to decide whether you're willing and able to do that or not. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mhm.
I hate when you're all blacked out. Can you guys show me your beautiful faces? I feel like I'm talking to the wall. I appreciate it. Okay, so I had a couple of questions. First of all, I want to shout out to Ashley because Ashley had an agent from another company give her a compliment, and I would like her to tell us what that compliment was. And then remind me, because I wanted to have Stephanie do the same thing. So go ahead, Ashley.
Would it be easier for Stephanie to go first? Because she's kind of at the airport. It looks like she's waiting right now.
I don't know if she
Looks
can
like she has a
talk.
second.
Can you talk, Steph?
Ashley, you're a gem. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, I can. I am getting ready to board my flight. I did had a closing on Friday, the 23rd, and the people that it was my first New Hampshire. Can you hear me? 'Cause it's the
Yeah,
first
we
time
can
I'm doing
hear
it this way. Okay. If I'm yelling, I'm so sorry. But It's my first New Hampshire closing. Very much different than New Mass in some ways. So I had a lot of times I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But I figured if you just shower them with so much kindness and give so much detail that they will just be overwhelmed, and they seem to enjoy it. And so anyways, the closing attorneys on both sides were just saying how wonderful everything was and how smooth it was. And they said I was the best agent they've ever worked for in New Hampshire. So I was very happy about that. I'm sure they were blowing it right up my skirt, but I don't care. And I was thrilled. So
That's awesome. Congratulations.
thank
All
you.
right, Ashley, you're up.
Okay, so I had a house inspection today for my listing at 266 Union in Gardner. Inspection went well, and so far as I know. But the agent that was standing in for the buyer agent to help out the buyers pulled me aside at the end of the inspection because she wanted to tell me how professional, because I had told her I was honest. I have my license for a year and I haven't done too many closings. So I was honest with her. But she wanted to tell me that for someone with less experience than most, and less, years in the business, that she was surprised and impressed by my sharpness, my knowledge on the property, and my professionalism, which reflects on our brokerage and our fearless leader, Judy. So,
No, it's all you.
well, yeah, but it does reflect on the brokerage because that's who I work through. So that was very awesome because it came from Lamakia and they think they're number one.
They like to say they're number one anyway.
They do.
But that's great. So congratulations to both of you. And I hope you guys talk about your successes and the things that make you feel good in here, because honestly, it really is important to share with each other how you're doing and how are you feeling about your knowledge base and working with other agents. It's a big world out there. So let us know when you have things happy and great to tell us. So while we're on that subject of home inspections though, I don't know if I've talked about home inspections with this group. So I thought it would be fun to have that conversation. As a buyer's agent, you will always make sure that you're at the home inspection or you are represented by someone at the home inspection for your buyers. So in other words, say you were going to be on vacation, it's okay to ask one of your peers, your fellow realtors, to do the home inspection for you. But I don't ever want you to send a buyer to a home inspection without being represented by an agent, and not the seller's agent. Make sure that the buyer's agent, we have somebody representing the buyer at the home inspection, okay? But here's where the tricky part comes in. If you're the listing agent, do you go to the home inspection or do you not go to the home inspection? And if you do go to the home inspection, do you follow the home inspection team around and listen in to everything that they're talking about? Does anybody want to offer some input there? I
No,
know somebody who's dying to talk.
no, I do not.
Kelly, tell us why.
I don't want to have any awareness of anything for disclosure if it does not proceed. I am not the owner. The only thing I do is if it's multi-units, I have somebody on my team open doors.
So
That's it.
when they open doors, and by the way, some tenants don't want people left alone in their apartments. And they don't know who these home inspectors and buyers are by any means. And so you may have to stay in the apartment if you're a listing agent or representing the listing side.
I encourage that. Never leave tenants alone with a buyer, the agent, or the home inspector.
Yep.
Tenants can make or kill deals. They either don't want the seller to sell or they want to complain. Your best bet is to have the list agent or representative. Never have anybody go in an occupied unit without the list side there to control things a little bit. Because I tell the buyer agent and the home inspector to please leave them alone. They're worried about losing their home. I kind of divert that as much as possible, but you never ever want to leave a tenant alone with a buyer agent, because if it's me, I'm going to ask questions.
Yep. Or a buyer,
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
because the buyers are gonna pump them for information. So that's a good opinion. I know somebody else who wants to talk about that too, right, Anthony?
Yeah, so I am on board with Kelly. The only caveat I add to that is I will sometimes show up at the end
Yep,
and make sure everything's locked up properly and everything's still all the same, and just to be like, are we moving forward? Not as straightforward as that, but just be like, are we okay here? Do you need anything from me leaving today?
yep,
That way I can answer any questions that they didn't have answers to, that I can just get to the seller right away, if it's gonna make the difference of we're moving forward or not. So I can check on the property and just be there. That's more of a service thing, but I never attend the
Yeah.
inspection itself.
good point. So I'm gonna give you my opinion too. I do not like to attend home inspections. However, I agree with Anthony. I like to go and meet them and say hello and get them on their merry way. And I also like to come back and close up and ask if they need anything from us at the end. So I agree with that. If I can possibly pull that off or have somebody on my team pull that off, absolutely, I would do that. If my seller insists that they don't want them in the house without me being there, I'm going to be far enough away from whatever the inspector is doing that I don't see what he's doing or know what he's doing, and I'm not going to ask questions. So that's just my personal opinion, and when I teach you guys, I'm teaching you from how I do my business, okay? And there are other agents, I will tell you, that totally insist that they should be at the home inspection, and they're top producing agents, by the way. So that we have differences of opinion is normal, because we are all business owners and we can all run our businesses the way we want to. I've had agents, top producing agents, tell me that not only do they show up for the home inspection, but they take notes so that they can go back and tell their seller what the home inspector found and prepare them in advance for anything that might come down from the home inspection. So now are you fully confused about what to do? Ashley?
Yeah, actually, it was per request of the sellers that I attend this inspection for two reasons. One, they did not want someone in their house unattended because they have a lot of valuable tools in their house, which, you know, they didn't expect them to be stolen, but they also believe the theory of people who are being watched and supervised to behave a lot better than those who are not. And so they very much wanted me there. And then second reason was because this house has already been under contract before and there was an issue with the buyer financing, they want to make sure this deal goes through. They are very desperate to sell and leave. They want to be gone before the winter. So they wanted to be aware of any issues. So they did want me to take notes, and that is what I did today.
Yeah, and I get that, and I'm not criticizing that or even questioning it, Ashley.
Oh, I'm just pointing out that that was purely their request, and that is my job to do what they want, kind of.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to, your client has to be comfortable with what you're doing. Anthony?
I was gonna say, I don't go to home inspections, but I would if they told me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't also go to buyer showings as a listing agent unless my clients insist. And if they insist and they have strong reasons why they want me there, I'm going to be there. Just like you, Ashley. If my clients want me to be someplace, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to do what they ask.
I'm probably gonna do mostly open houses stuff.
Right,
I'm not gonna go to every showing day and night,
right.
different days, different nights, different hours, but.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. And how I prep my buyers, my sellers, sorry, is that, you know, there could be 100 buyer agents that want to show the house, and yet there's only one of me. So you're doing yourself a disservice by limiting all of those agents to my availability, number one. Number two, buyers don't feel comfortable or relaxed looking at houses while the seller's representative is following them around and asking them questions. So those are some good things to chat about. Does anybody have any questions or input on that? Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was very weird. I've always, when doing like showings, like private showings, on request or at open houses, I find that buyers and their agents find it very helpful that I do not follow them throughout the house and like watch them and lean over their shoulder. They find it very helpful that I lead them throughout the house, and kind of like how like Mark at what point had given advice to someone on the mentoring group where they had asked, is there a way to figure out how to write the MLS description box for the house? And he said, basically write it like it's a story and you're setting a scene. And that's how I describe the house to people when doing showings. And buyers and their agents always seem to appreciate that a lot. When that's how you're introducing the house to them, if you're showing it to them, versus if they're going in and you're following them around. So I thought it was weird that you said follow them around, because I don't do that.
I don't recommend that you do that by any means. And if I do have to be there, frankly, I'm going to stay close enough so that I can monitor what's going on if that's what my clients want me to do. And I'm going to have a conversation with them when they come in and welcome them and describe anything that I feel needs description. And I'm going to let them know that I'm available to answer questions if need be, but I am not tagging along during their showing, if I can help it. So who has a story about any of that? We're talking about even showings as a listing agent, showings as a buyer agent. Has anybody had any experience with, I had a listing agent not only follow us around during a showing recently, but also start badgering my client about their pre-approval and when they were going to put in an offer, and is this the house you're going to buy? And I mean, it was completely inappropriate. My buyers were pretty freaked out by it. Does anybody have any input or stories they want to talk about there?
Judy, it's Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi there. So I don't have a story, but I'm interested to see how you responded.
I pulled her aside and asked her if I could show her something, and then I asked her to stop doing that. I didn't do it in front of the client.
Perfect. And how did she respond?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. So she responded okay.
Thank you.
Has anybody else had anything like that happen? Kelly, have you ever had that happen?
Oh, never. Hey, I just want to say it's good that you all share, but you're all going to develop your own style that works for you. I don't believe in following people around because I don't like to be followed. Sometimes I find, you know, and I do keep in mind, everybody's got videos and audios at their house now. That's something just to keep in mind when you are at showings and viewings. That's always something to consider. But me personally, I don't want to be followed. I don't like following people. And if some of my team is here, they know I say that to them, that I'm going to let you go. If you need anything, let me know. But I do kind of saunter around and ask if they have any questions and get some feedback. But in terms of another agent doing that to my clients, I actually had that happen with a Lamakia person. And I nicely said, hey, can I ask you a question in the other room? And she went there and I said, look, can you just let them, I believe in letting people take a look at the house, because let me just be honest with you, you can't convince them to buy it. Let them do their thing, let them feel comfortable, let them have their opinions. And that's what's going to sell the house, not somebody telling them about everything. So I've done the same thing, Judy. I've pulled them aside and asked them to please let them be.
Thank you.
Because
yeah.
because I don't even follow them. I try to let them, like, I'll go with them once
Yeah.
and then I'll encourage them, hey, why don't you two go upstairs again and let them have their chat about their family. And that's what people want, is they want that direction, but I always encourage them to go a second time by themselves.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Anthony, how do you feel about that?
I mean, this is seller side, but like on the buy side, I always go into it on our first showing. And as I'm walking them into the door, I'm always like, you guys know what kitchens, bathrooms, and toilets look like. So I'm gonna treat you that way and just go explore. And I stay close to them, but I don't hover.
Yeah.
And I kind of think the same way on the seller side. Like, there's nothing I'm gonna add to this.
Yep.
That's gonna make a difference.
Right.
And so that's been my kind of precedent on everything as far as showings go.
Yeah, you're not gonna sell the house. Though anybody who tells you that you're gonna sell the house to the buyers is lying to you.
Yeah.
They know pretty immediately whether it's the house for them or not, and nothing you say is gonna change their mind.
The only thing that will happen is you can make it more concrete with more information.
Right,
They already want to,
yep,
and you just make it more concrete with additional things they didn't know.
exactly.
But you're not gonna change a no to a yes, or sometimes you can change a
You
yes
could
to a
change a
no.
yes to a
But
no.
you can't change a no to a yes.
Yeah, I agree. You can change a yes to a no, but you can't really, in my experience, if you do change a no to a yes, they're gonna be mad at you later.
Yep.
Because they really didn't like the house, or they didn't want the house, and they're gonna feel like you forced them into it, and you were out to make your own thing happen. You had your own agenda, not, you didn't have their agenda at heart. So I don't even want you to try to sell the house. I want you to have as much information as you possibly can about the property, the neighborhood, the house, the prices. And I want you to make sure that you can give them all the information they need to make an educated decision. And you still can't make them like that house if they don't. Just so you know. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, so those are a couple of good things that we talked about today. Tracy, you had some questions today. Did you have a chance to look up that deed and see, and let's talk about that situation. Are you there? Tracy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here. So I have a buyer who is interested in a home in Pepperell, and within the MLS, it said buyer's responsibility to investigate deed and easement. So I was hoping that you might be able to give me some, or someone can give me some direction on that. I mean, obviously it tells me there's a problem.
Well, it doesn't necessarily. Some
Okay.
agents have habits that they use to, they put it in all of their listings, they put it in all of their offers. Like, for example, you don't need to put the property must appraise at purchase price, at or above purchase price in a VA or an FHA offer, because you're putting so little down that if it doesn't appraise, you're not going to get financing. So the financing clause covers that. But there are agents who insist on putting that in every single offer they write. You do?
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Honestly,
Yeah.
because I pre-templated my offers and I don't erase it. So it's just in there. But it's just another thing to be in there. The only times I may remove it is if I know it's highly competitive for the house, because to the agent, it looks like it's an extra
Yeah.
step. If they didn't already know that, what you just said, I'll remove it because I know I'm covered. But other times I just like having it in there as insurance.
In this market, though, you want to keep your offers as
Slim,
streamlined
yeah,
as you
super slim.
possibly can.
Yeah.
And so, in other markets, that might be okay, but that could be the thing that tips you
Mhm.
not to get the property.
Mhm.
But see, we have a difference of opinion, and we're two great agents here. And that's gonna happen, guys. No one's gonna judge your opinions unless you're breaking two things, the law or the code of ethics.
Mhm.
Otherwise, run your business however you want to. But Tracy, honestly, my point was that that statement that she puts on her listing, that could go on every listing, because maybe one time she didn't look and find that there was an easement on something and she got in trouble. But did you look up the deed?
Oh, I
She got
did.
the deeds on MLS. The deed was provided.
On that property? Okay,
Yep.
and was there an easement on the deed?
I'm looking at it now. Tracy, we're talking about, this is how good I am, 9 Parker Hill.
You got it.
So this is what I recommend, Judy. I don't mean to intercede, but I would take that deed, and this is why you need to have an attorney of that is at your beck and call. Like, I would send that deed to, because we're not attorneys, I would send that deed to David Lebwith, and he could do a quick search on it. But I don't see on there, I'm not an attorney, I always have to say that. But I don't see anything on that deed that is a red flag to me. But I would download that and send that to David Lebwith and get his opinion.
So
So
you
just so you
said
guys
that
know,
was,
David Ludwig is the attorney for the.
That's what I would do. I wouldn't, here's me, I guess, busy. I would take that deed, anything else on there, just the deed, and I would issue that to David Lebwith and have him take a look at it. The other thing on my concern is, if you look at this, it says on private septic, but trying into town sewer prior to closing. But then it's the blood team. I don't really care from KW. And then they have it as a public sewer, but it's really technically not a public sewer. So it's a private sewer. So it's not private.
You could put in the offer, if I'm
It has to tie into town.
hearing you correctly.
Yep.
In that case, Tracy would put in the offer that the property must be tied into town sewer prior to the transfer of deed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there could be betterments too as well. Good point, Eric. So
Yep, very good.
who's
Yep.
gonna pay the betterment on that needs
Right.
to be discussed.
Tracy, you know what a betterment is?
I think it's like a lien.
It's sort of like a tax or, yeah, it's a betterment tax.
Yeah.
It's for any
From the town.
that the property will be charged. And so we need to know whether the seller is going to pay off that betterment fee or the buyer is going to absorb that betterment fee. It's going to transfer to the buyer. But that needs to be determined in the offer.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelly, where did you see the deed? You said it was in the MLS?
So if you go on the listing, you hit on attachments, see that little piece of paper with the little paper clip?
I'll look at
Okay,
that.
it's okay. So it's got offer instructions, it's got deed, plot plan, lead paint disclosure, and seller's disclosure, which you all need with your offer, and the deed is right on there. But again, if you're not sure what you're looking for, because this is a deed from, I don't know, it's typed. They paid $32,000 for it. They
Yes.
bought it in 1983. So this is where I would, and Judy, if you want to say something else, that's fine. I would download that, send it to David, and have him do his quick little laser eyes, and then tell me if I should have any red flags. I don't see any. It's 2 pages. It's really nothing. But if you also, yeah, so that's where it is.
Okay,
So
so is it,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Tracy. Go
I
ahead.
did look up the actual registry of deeds and went through it, and, it was hard to
Should be
to
the same one
understand, but
that's
is it,
attached.
it's common for it to be attached? Because I didn't know that.
No,
I
it's not.
always
No.
recommend that you guys attach the deed.
If you can. In New Hampshire, they require that, but always look at your attachments, because then your client thinks you are totally awesome for having the seller's disclosure, the plot plan, the deed. And I email those to my clients right away, and they think I'm incredible that, hey, here's more information on this property. But again,
Awesome.
whether you're seasoned or not, Anthony may do it different, Judy may do it different, but I take all my legal stuff and I ship it right to David Lebwith and said, what do you think, quick? And he'll tell me, hey, you got this right away. I had a property down near Worcester that it was an easement of a gas line all through their backyard. So that's where you have to be careful of things.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not doing an in-ground pool.
pardon me?
I said you're not doing an in-ground pool.
You're not doing an in-ground pool if you've got a gas line easement, that's for sure. Can we go through a quick exercise to find a deed? Yes, absolutely. Eric, do you know how to do that?
Great.
Okay, while he's doing that, I just want to say one thing, because I don't want it to sound like every attorney is going to give you that kind of service. Every buyer's attorney is not necessarily going to give that kind of service. And if you've developed a rapport with the attorneys that you're using, then you might be really, bye, Steph, have a safe trip. Oh, I lost her. She's gone. Anyway, sometimes they get assigned an attorney, especially some of the credit unions around here. They assign, excuse
The one
me,
in Gardner, GFCU,
yeah,
sometimes you can't pick your attorney.
can't
have to
pick.
go with an approved.
they give you no choice. And if you called them and said, could you look this deed over, they'll say, yeah, when I get to it. You know,
for
they're,
purchase and sale.
yeah, they might do it before the purchase and sale, they might not. So don't expect that every attorney's gonna do what David does for Kelly, or for me. But if you develop a rapport with an attorney and you usually try to use that attorney as your closing attorney, they will help you and they will do that stuff for you. But you should be familiar with at least how to look up deeds and how to, and just read through them. You can read if it's got an easement. If it's got an easement, tell them to call their attorney and have a conversation. Not that I'm stepping on Kelly. I want Kelly to know that I totally agree with what she does, and I do the same
No,
thing.
I'm fine with that. I just established a rapport, like Chris Carrera will do New Hampshire, David will do Mass.
Yeah,
But if it's, let me just say this out loud. When I first started, I did all this myself. I just learned how to craft people that I give business to help me do mine. So this is a good exercise.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Eric, could you walk us through what you're doing, please?
Sure, so this is, if you need to look up a deed beyond MLS. So you've got masslandrecords.com, which I just put the link in the site.
Okay.
And you need to know which county you're in. First of all, so the counties have,
So what is this website? Tell us what this is right now.
it's masslandrecords.com.
Okay, so you guys, masslandrecords.com. And then once you know which county you're in, pretend we're gonna be in Worcester County.
And so Worcester has two registries, North Worcester and Worcester. So you need to kind of know where you are. I think it's Fitchburg.
Fitchburg.
Worcester, and North.
Yep, Fitchburg is North Worcester. So pretend you were looking up a property in Fitchburg. You would click on North Worcester County. But you guys already should have known that because when you wrote up the offer, you had to know what county it was in, and it should be listed right on the listing. Okay, so now what, Eric?
All right, so you're gonna search, there's different ways when you're searching. If you look here, search by name or address, search by registry records, search land court records, right? So you're searching, I mean, if you know the property address, you can try.
Or if you know the book and page too, you can do it right here.
Right, so you have the book and page or, what was the address we were looking at earlier?
Let's not use that address because
Okay.
that's an active property and I don't want to go there. So you can use my address if you want. That's still North Worcester County, 28 Lakeshore Drive. And that's Ashburn, yeah.
Do you know if it's one word? It's
Yeah.
one word.
Can you guys see that? Mark, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys can see it too?
Yep.
Okay,
And sometimes it helps to do a date range if you know a date range, because that's gonna reduce the records, but I don't know how long you've owned.
Yeah, so I've owned my property for 11 years. When you look up the property, you can see when it was sold last. So you can run it by the date range if you want to narrow it down. I don't usually bother with that. I usually put the book and page number in and look up by that. And then if that doesn't look right for some reason, then I'll just do a scan and look at all the records in here. I
Is it
can't.
you?
I really can't see a thing, Eric, so you're gonna have to guide them.
That's good. The name is blank.
That was the prior.
Okay, so that's the grantor, okay.
So when you click on the little book, see the
So
little
these are-
book? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No?
I would say these are all the recorded documents for that property. So you can sort this
Yep,
further, but. So you have deeds, mortgages, discharge of mortgage, certificate of municipal lien, discharge mortgage, and this is just the first page.
yep. And show them how to pull up the deed.
Oops.
Yep, that's right. And then see that little book up there? Right there. Okay. And there you go. So there's the deed on my property. You guys can do that as well. And that's not actually my deed, it's the prior owner's deed. So you always want to look at the dates there and just see, well, this doesn't appear to be the current owner. So you may want to go back and search through the deeds and find the current owner on that. But does that help? Is that helpful to you guys? Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, thank
It
you.
is, and it is a hit or miss. I mean, I used to do this as an engineer, and it is really hit or miss. The spelling and the street number are not always right. So if you could narrow it down by either dates or some other.
Well, what I like to do is go, honestly, I'm going to tell you how I usually do it, and it usually works and sometimes it's not correct, is go to MLS PIN and log in there if you can. Are you on mine or yours?
I'm on mine right now.
Okay. Okay. And then go to tools. And then go to public records. And then type in just the street name and the zip code. And 20 and the number, the street number, the street name, but not street or road or avenue or any of that. So it will be 28 Lakeshore. And then type in 01430. And then search now. And then as you can see, it's right there, and the book and page are listed right there. When you open it up, you're going to see that the book and page are listed. So you can see that the last sale date was 2010, and you can see that the last book and page are listed there. And so what I always do first is this, and I always start by looking up the book and page number, because then I don't have to sift through a gazillion other things that are attached to that property. Does that make sense, guys?
Now, Judy, that's just a feed from the book or like the registry, so we know that that's like accurate information.
Yep,
That seems like the easier route.
yep. So what you would do is, when you get to search by address, you would go into book and page. You would type that book and page in there.
Page 60.
And then it should pull up the correct deed. So just click on the little book again. And view the document right there. And there you go. That's a quitclaim deed. Okay, so you guys got it?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. The last thing that I have on my agenda is to talk to you about doing the math on your commission statements. So I don't usually sit down and do the math if you've told me you already did it, but when you take your commission statement, say you're going to sell a house for $200,000 and you're the listing agent and you're gonna charge 3% for the listing commission and 2% for the buyer's agent. So how are you gonna come to the actual numbers? Do you guys know how to do that? Okay, so if I know I'm charging 5%, for example, in this example. So, and I did that because 5% is easy to do the math, right? Okay, so if I say 200,000 times 0.05, what does that come out to be? Can somebody do the math?
10K.
10K, okay. So then, so put that to the side. So you've got $10,000, right? Let me do it a different way though. Now I need to break down the commission into who's getting how much. So I told you it was going to be 3 and 2 in this conversation or in this particular transaction. So now I'm going to take 200,000 and I'm going to multiply it times 0.03. And what does that come out to be? How much?
6,000.
6,000. And then I'm going to take 200,000 and I'm going to multiply it times 0.02. And what does that come out to be?
4,000.
Okay, so now what I want you guys to do though is I want you to do the math backwards. I want you to take 4,000 plus 6,000. Does it equal 10,000? You always want to do your math forward and backwards. I had a situation recently where probably somebody accidentally hit the wrong number. And instead of being 5650, it came out to be 5550. And because they didn't do their math backwards or continue breaking it down further and then do the math backwards, they lost $100 on the commission. So guys, your math can look right, but maybe you hit the wrong button. Maybe you had a typo. So make sure that you double check and triple check those numbers backwards and forwards so that you've done it 3 or 4 different ways and you're putting the right numbers down. Because let me tell you what the attorney did. That was the listing agent who put those numbers in and sent that commission bill off to the closing attorney. And who does the closing attorney represent? Somebody answer that for me. Go
The
ahead,
bank.
Jessica.
The closing attorney usually represents the buyer.
The closing attorney represents the lender.
Oh, sorry,
Right.
to record the title. Yes, sorry.
Right.
But when, yeah, sorry. But when you have a
No,
buyer,
I'm not trying to make you feel bad because you're kind of right. So when the buyer uses the closing attorney to do all of their side of the transaction, unless there's a conflict between the lender and the buyer, you can talk semantics, but they're on the buy side. So you're right, Jessica. Just know that when your buyer says, is it okay to use the closing attorney for my attorney? Your answer should be, I'm not an attorney and I don't give legal advice, but what I do know is that if there's ever any issues between you and the lender, they represent the lender.
Okay, thank
If
you for
you're
that.
comfortable with that, then go ahead and use them. But I'm not going to give you legal advice here. So in any case, that closing attorney represents the buy side. He's not going to tell you as a listing agent that you undercharged the buyer by $100. He's not going to tell you that. He's going to give you what you asked for. And then you're out of luck. Because for $100, I'm not going back and try to make them redo all the paperwork after the closing. Anybody have input to that?
My input is, people, this is how you get paid. Pay attention to it. This is what you've done all your hard work for. And I'm going to tell you, make sure before anybody, you verify commission. If you pick up the commission before you walk out of that office, bring your commission statement. Chris picks up all my checks. He texts me every time because sometimes they don't understand your commission statement. It may not be right, but and if everything's been issued, you're out of luck.
Yep.
There's been cases where the seller has had to cut checks because it's all been said and done and the commissions were wrong. And it's a good thing the sellers did because the sellers don't have to. So out of all your hard work, so I'm going to say, Judy, out of everything you do, people, your commission and your commission statement, you make sure it's right, because it's just like if you were working a regular job and you worked 40 hours and they paid you 20, would you accept that?
Right.
So this is where you need to pay attention. And if you're not sure and you're with Judy, make sure that the close office understands our commission statement, because sometimes our commission statement at KW confuses close offices because of what we hold and what's issued.
Yeah, and the other thing with that is you should be asking for a copy of the Alta closing disclosure or the draft Alta or draft HUD ahead of time so that you can look and make sure that the commissions are in there correctly. I've had attorneys take it upon themselves to split the commission equally, even though I sent my commission statement saying that it was otherwise.
Absolutely. And Judy's right. That's the only line you want to look at. What KW is getting, we cut it at close. And Judy's right. I have some attorneys that their software doesn't allow them to do the contrary. And I got into an argument. And Judy's right. Sometimes they automatically assume if you're a list agent, you're splitting it when I take 3 and give 2. And that's a good point, Judy. Always look at that's the most important line on the whole HUD or Alta.
Yep, absolutely. So you guys, and it's not my responsibility, by the way, to check your math. When I'm looking at those, sometimes with you, I'll go through the math with you, but I'm not checking your typos afterwards. And I'm not checking necessarily when I review your documents in opportunities. I'm not always going to pull my calculator out and do the math to make sure that you did the math correctly if it looks pretty right. You know, if there's something glaring, I absolutely will, but it's your responsibility. So make sure you guys do that frontwards and backwards and check those draft HUDs and Altas and make sure that you're getting paid what you're supposed to be getting paid. The other thing is about getting paid, make sure you're getting paid on what it says in the, make sure you're getting paid on exactly what you're supposed to be. If it says net in the listing, then you're getting paid on the net. If it says gross, you're getting paid on gross. So make sure you check that out when you fill out your commission statement. So I am ready to open it up to the room. Hi, Mark, welcome. Did you have something you wanted to talk to everybody about?
Just the class tomorrow.
Class tomorrow, I forgot to tell them about the class.
Gonna
tomorrow.
be hosting a class tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. here in the office. It's gonna be a workshop, and it's going to be on utilizing MLS PIN for lead generation tech. So if you are inclined to learn a little bit about how to get different methods of getting leads out of MLS, I'll be teaching that here in the office. We will Zoom it, and no guarantees how easy it will be seeing what's going on. We'll screen share, but if you could make it here physically, we have laptops here in the office if some of you need them, and if you have your own, bring your own. We'll be working with you. So 4 to 6 tomorrow. That's all I got.
Well, we
Thanks.
told them about the party and invited them, encouraged them to come, and we talked about 2 weeks from Tuesday doing contracts class, and they're
Awesome.
gonna get to practice on offers with you,
Yep.
right?
Yep, that'll be a workshop as well. So
Yep.
if you wanted to try it virtually, that would be ideal. If you want to do it on paper, that will also work. So
And if you want to come into the office and do it live, that'd be great. But if you have to do it Zoom, that's okay too.
yep, either one's works. Thanks, Judy.
Awesome.
Just a quick question, Mark. It's Tracy. How are you?
Tracy, I'm well, thanks.
Good, good. Did I miss that that you were having that class for tomorrow? I didn't see that anywhere.
You will not have seen it because I was talking with somebody today and it came up that they were interested in that, and I was like, boom, do it.
Okay,
Because I know that a lot of people have been looking for some live courses, and so I threw it on the calendar. So we can teach that again if that doesn't, or we can record it also. If you can't make it, don't worry about it. We'll teach those things again.
awesome, great. That would be great. I mean, it's just trying to plan your schedules, and as much notice as possible is always great. But if you're going to record it, that's great too.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so who has something they want to talk about today? Did we talk you all out? Jessica?
Hi, so I had a closing yesterday and I really want to market to this town. And I've already asked the seller's agent if I could use the photos that she had professionally taken. I have it in writing for hers, just to kind of do like a postcard. Am I able to say like, look what I just sold, or like just sold? So like, I know what buyers want in your area, or like, how can I like kind of use my marketing, even though I was the buyer's agent on the house that I sold in the area I want to target?
So you can do just listed and just sold, and you are the selling agent, so you can do a sold postcard, absolutely. And if you got permission to use the photo, then I should say that shouldn't be a problem. But you got written permission to use the photo?
Via text message, but
Yeah.
okay, perfect. Awesome, because I wasn't sure. And then I have a listing appointment on Friday, and I haven't done a listing in a while. I think I'm totally comfortable doing it. I just want to make sure the items that I just needed were my agency disclosure, my exclusive right, like the listing agreement, the addendum to the listing agreement, the escrow wire, lead paint if it's prior to 1978, mass, and I have something else in here. Why did I?
Property condition statement?
Yes, just in case they want to fill one out. I love how you read my mind.
So I'm going to shift gears for 1 second. So why would you use a photograph that somebody else shot instead of having your client stand there with a picture that says sold and you?
Good point.
Because I wasn't sure if that's against the familia status and creed and all that stuff, if I have the person in the photo. Wrong answer.
Did you sell it to them?
I sold it to them, yeah.
Okay.
So I can
Is
do
it false advertising then?
No, she's a real person.
Should be okay. That should be okay. You shouldn't say only people like this need apply, but you should be okay. Look what I sold should be fine.
Like, I don't want to put dogs in anything anymore. I'm so scared that someone's gonna be like, I don't like dogs.
Absolutely should take a picture of them holding your sign, and then you should post it on social media. And is it okay if I share the screen for a second, Judy?
Yeah, sure. Can you give?
Okay.
Do you have access?
So I
Yeah.
put in the the chat box, United States Postal Service Every Door Direct. And so what I want to show you is how this works just a little bit, because it's inexpensive. What you would do is you would follow these rules, but what basically happens is you go to a United States Postal Service rural route. You ever get mail that says pre-sorted or something like that on it? Yeah. Okay, so what you would do is you would have somebody like Michael Lewis Marketing Suite print you a bunch of postcards, and you'd get it to say, you know, pre-sorted. And then what you would do is you would pick the rural route that you want. So select neighborhoods and audience. Normally there's like a little map. Let's see, they move it around on me. Online tool. Okay, so what's the address, Jess? What town?
Lancaster?
So you type in Lancaster, Massachusetts. I'm just gonna pick South Lancaster is what I'm gonna pick. So see these little highlights, the pink areas, that's one route in town. And it will tell you residential 564, business 28, total 592. You would need to have 592 postcards printed, and you would bring them to the post office with the information here. It would cost you $113.66 to send them out after you'd printed them. You have to bring the printed stuff to them, and then it's going to cost you $113.66. So outrageously inexpensive compared to putting stamps on things and sending them out. And it goes to every single door, hence the name, Every Door Direct, to that route. If you wanted to go to a different route, you would just choose a different area. 641 and 18, 659. This one is 592. It tells you how much it costs. You could do the whole town. I would say just do the neighborhood that rural route falls in. And so you can use this specifically for marketing to a locus, or you could actually do it on a regular basis if you wanted to farm a town. It's nice for getting listings. It's nice for getting buyers. Another thing you could say is, you know, look what I sold, have a picture of them. We've got other buyers, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Are you looking for buyers or are you looking for listings? So very often you would say, this one just sold for over asking price. Welcome your new neighbors. If you'd like to sell, there are lots of other buyers out there.
And there are templates in Command as well as on Michael Lewis Marketing that you can probably use.
So yeah. Yep. So that's that. You guys get it?
I appreciate that. And it's funny that you said that I saw, because I've been doing Ignite again, just because I like to learn. And, you know, you learn something new every time you sit in the same class twice or three times. So I was trying to do a seller, like a listing presentation through the Command, and I thought I was doing it all perfect. And I was hitting save. It saved the title of everything, but all my gear that I kind of fluffed in there was now gone. Is there any suggestions? Is there like a recovery? Do you guys use that? Or do you use, was it Michael Marketing? Michael
Lewis Marketing?
Michael Lewis Marketing. So I wasn't sure if you guys use the design tool in Command as well.
Yeah, both. You can use either one of them. Oh, somebody's got a puppy.
Yes, I've done a little bit of mailing through Command, but I've only done just one type of postcard, so I'm not sure how to do it on the listing. So if I play around with that at all, I'll let you know, but I've only done just a little bit of a basic postcard.
Thank you so much for your honesty.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, we can have classes on that too. And if you're trying to get something accomplished and you can't figure it out, Anthony's online every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock. He's happy to help you guys figure stuff out. And he knows both Command and Michael Lewis Marketing. So don't be afraid to jump on his Zoom classes.
Oh my God, I need to know this more than letter and where she got it.
Does anybody else have anything they want to
She needs
chit chat
to know,
about?
I'm not making you accessory.
Mark, you got anything? No?
So, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was not on mute. I apologize.
That's
That's
okay.
right.
We got you. We got you back. Anybody else want to have anything they want to say? All right, Mark?
Come to the party on Thursday night, come to class on Wednesday, get some lead generation going. Houses are moving. You guys can do this. You got this. How many of you guys have sold something so far? All right. How many of you would like to sell something? Okay, good. But go borrow some open houses, figure out how to stay in touch with your people, because your people are knowing people. We're going to start to see listings coming on, you guys, and they're going to be, there's going to be more inventory. We're starting to see some national news that's starting to push on it, like, oh my God, we're in a bubble. I just read 2 or 3 articles about it today. Not necessarily true. There's very contradictory information relative to that. So you should probably don't get in a bubble yourselves and start thinking that that's happening. It's not happening right now. 16, 18 months is what they're saying. Too many people still want to buy. Too little inventory. Builders stopped building in the last housing bust. So
Yeah, and the interest rates are too low.
interest rates are too low. There's nothing doing that aside from pandemics, and even
Right.
pandemics couldn't do it last time. So just be aware of that. So yeah, if you guys have questions, you've got Judy, you've got Eric Denoncourt right there twice. He's with Judy Scotland and he's by himself over there. I don't know if you guys noticed that. That was fun. You've got me, you've got everybody else here at the office would love to help you out and get you going. So yeah.
All right, have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday. And don't forget to come to the party. And don't forget, 2 weeks from Tuesday is practicing offers with Mark at Coaching Corner.
Cool.
I'll put it on the website, too, on the Facebook page too. So,
So you guys be well.
bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Cursor.
Yeah.
Do you see the cursor on it?
No.
I don't even know.
Oh, I just saw that.
There we
There it is. I got the magic touch.